We're going to talk to you about method feeders now, and I've enlisted our Mr. If It Swims, Catch It, Ali Hamidi, who's very well connected on the match circuit, to talk to us about mixes. But first of all, I'm talking to you about the feeders themselves. This is the original bait up method feeder. It's called bait up because one of the fins is made of lead, so it will always fall one way. Even if there's bait around it, it will always fall that way. So if you've got your hook bait folded in to the top of it there, the hook bait will always be exposed. What you don't want to happen is that. It'd be trapped underneath the feeder, and that can't happen with this one because of that lead fin. This comes in 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces and 3 ounces respectively. It's got all its nooks and crannies in there to push your bait into, so the fish have to really hit it to get it all off, and a bait shield as well. So when you're casting, it stops the bait coming off the end of the feeder. And the rig with this particular one, I've got a little tiny 10mm halibut pellet there that I've just drilled out. And I've got a little tiny extender stop to hold that on so it will stay on a bit longer, and just a hybrid hook link. But that will become clear while we're doing that when we talk about mixes. And then the more recent one, the mini bait up for the more commercial fisheries. This one's attached to a safe zone leader, the other one I had rig tubing on it, and both of them are to protect the fish, so when you're playing the fish it's rubbing against the fish's scales and it's not pinging them off like mono can. And also it holds everything flat down on the bottom behind the feeder, so when the fish are feeding you don't get loads of line bites. And this one is attached to a little tiny braided hook link, a size 12 wide gape. Obviously if barbless rules apply it'd be a wide gape B, and then 2 of Mainline's strawberry pellets, the little soft hooker pellets on the end there, and that comes in 1/2 ounce and 1 ounce. But what I want to get onto is mixes, so talk us through the green sort of fluffy stuff that you've got in there.
Fluffy stuff. Well, it's all off the back of the humble words of Mr. Ringer, basically. So when he speaks, I listen, as everyone does. So he's always spoke about how important it is now not to feed the fish, but to try and catch them, exactly like you say with the PVA. Okay?
Yep.
So the ground bait is basically Special G from Bait Tech.
Right.
Okay. I've put in the addition of a new one from Mainline. It's called the Activated Fish Mix. Okay, and there's lots of little lumpy bits of fish meal in there, so it just smells.
It's carpy, yeah.
You've got to use it. And then the important thing is not to have too much loose feeding. Okay, I've got literally in that sort of 1/2 kilo of mix, I've probably got a handful of 3mm halibut pellets.
Right.
And backing that up is another handful of the strawberry expander pellets from Mainline. So hardly anything really.
Right.
And if you're looking at, Dan, that, you know, just have a look. It's dust with a sprinkling of little pellets. So
right.
The only thing there for them to eat
is the hook bait.
Is that fella.
Right.
Yeah. So you know, when the dust has come up,
right,
they're on it.
And how long's that lasting on the feeder then?
Well, what Steve's always said to me, and a lot of the top match boys have said, 90 seconds, okay?
Really?
They're casting it out. If it's not gone within 90 seconds, it's straight back in, and a lot of the time they won't even leave it out for 30 seconds to start with. It'll be out, whisk it off to get the feed off, back in, and they'll do that for 8 or 10 casts until they've got a little bed down, and then out will go the feeder, periodically, every 90 seconds. Right. Same as the bagging waggler, how they started all that, you know.
Mad.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been here for 90 days.
Yeah.
About 90 seconds.
Exactly.
Cool. So that one, you just, I take it, you just moulding the feed round it. What about how do you have the bait in it or out of it? What works best? Yeah,
that's another really interesting subject. Basically, being told that on some waters, some of the commercial fisheries, you get more bites with it out of the feeder, and then on other ones you get more bites with it in the feeder. So the top tip there is to keep it, you know, try it in and try it out, and whatever's working on the day, use that method.
Right, okay. And then that one's obviously completely different. That looks more like what I would put in a PVA bag or I would spot out. So what's in that one and why is it so different from that one?
Okay, well this is something we're more likely to use as big fish anglers, okay? It's based around much coarser mix full of a lot more feed, okay, so that it can withstand the attention of small fish. Yeah, so when you're casting out, it might take a night for the fish to get on it. You want some bait left there. Cool. And in there I've got 6mm halibut pellets, okay, I've got a nut mix from Mainline, and a new activated nut mix, and as you can see, look, there's tiny bits of nut in there. Okay, we've got ground bait, response pellet, and then once I've scalded that whole lot up, okay, and it's starting to bind, I'll then add some party blend. I've added the Bait Tech Aniseed party blend, and you know, and a bit of Mayplate juice. And if you smell that, mate, that's not bad, is it?
Oh, mate, that's all spicy and God, that is extremely carpy, as we say, isn't it? Yeah. Cool.
And I think it's important if we show the audience what it looked like if you're casting it into thick weed, because that would be
okay.
you know, a really effective way of doing it.
Right, so correct me if I'm wrong here, because I don't use the method hardly at all. I've used it a couple of times. A little bit in the palm of your hand, press the lead weight into it.
Yep.
Yep. And then a bit more on the top, and then mould it so it's roughly the same all the way around the feeder.
Yep.
And am I right in saying you could even cast that out as it is now with the hook bait out of it?
Absolutely, yeah. But don't strike when the old bobbin's going up and down, because that can happen. I'll start headbutting the feeder.
Right.
Yeah. Until it screams off.
Wait until it screams off. Or then you could fold it back like that if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And then put a bit more feed on top of it. And if you were going to chuck that into weed, like they do on places like Horseshoe, that's the way to do it. And even like that, that's only going to fall one way. And no bait's going to come off that until it hits the bottom.
Definitely not, mate. Yep, until a big carp comes and chomps it up.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to have a bit more of a go with the method this year. We've got a guy that we've just taken on as a consultant who I'm not going to tell you about, who only fishes the method. So maybe this time next year I'll be talking about a load of big fish caught on the method.